So as we here at Auricle offer you 4 core features: live classes, recorded sessions, notes, and MCQs. In the live classes, you have educator who comes online and teaches everything online. And in the recorded sessions, you have the videos which are very crisp and concise, contains the precise amount of information that you need to crack any exam, entrance exam or theory exam. Then in the notes, we have, which notes which are really good and rich in information and has lots of diagrams and flow charts and questions, previous year questions. And MCQs will help you to ace your upcoming next examination. Okay. You can also book a personalized counseling with us, wherein you'll be given a mentor and basically like a guide, who clarifies all doubts, whether it is academic or otherwise, and they'll help you to, aram se breeze through your examinations. Then we also have 3 different subscription plans: basic, standard, and premium. In the basic, you have pre-recorded live and quick revision exam modules. In the standard plan, you have pre-recorded classes, live class, live doubt clarification, and QRE modules. And in the premium plan, it's like all in one, where you get everything, including the one-on-one personalized guidance. Okay, so we will start with the development of foregut, in which we have already done all of this, right? We've already done the derivatives of foregut. Just to revise, foregut is from oral cavity till the major duodenal papilla. From here till the right 2/3 to left 2/3 is the midgut. From here till the anal canal is hindgut, correct? This is foregut, this is midgut, and this is hindgut. From the foregut, we have all of these derivatives: pharynx, lower respiratory system, esophagus, duodenum, and liver, gallbladder, pancreas. So everything is coming from yolk sac. Okay, everything is coming from yolk sac. And what is this yolk sac? Where is yolk sac is coming from? Yolk sac is coming from the endoderm. Yolk sac is endodermal in origin. Along with lateral plate mesoderm, we have all of these structures coming. That is pharynx, LRE, lower respiratory system, and esophagus, stomach, and all of this is coming from the foregut. Foregut comes from yolk sac. Yolk sac is a derivative of endoderm. Endoderm plus lateral plate mesoderm gives rise to all these structures. Okay. Then again, similarly, we have midgut. Midgut derivatives are, all of these are midgut derivatives, and midgut derivatives are supplied by superior mesenteric artery, whereas the foregut is supplied by what? Very good. Celiac trunk. Okay. Then we also have hindgut, which is supplied by inferior mesenteric artery. The point where the right 2/3 of and the left 1/3 of transverse colon is marked by the point where the inferior mesenteric artery starts. Okay, this is the point where the midgut ends and hindgut begins. All right. Yes. Now these are all the different derivatives of the hindgut. Now we've already done this. Celiac trunk supplies foregut, superior mesenteric artery mid, inferior mesenteric artery supplies the hindgut. All right. Yes. Next, esophageal development. We finished it. And just to revise, what are the different anomalies of esophagus? We have esophageal atresia, right? Esophagus is not formed at all. And esophageal stenosis, tracheoesophageal fistula, achalasia cardia, or cardiospasm. These are the anomalies of esophageal development. What we did not do was the development of stomach, which we'll be studying in today's class. All right. Now, stomach develops during 4th to 5th week as a fusiform dilation of the part of the foregut distal to the esophagus. Okay. At around 4th to 5th week, stomach develops as this fusiform dilatation, as you can see here. Fusiform means like this, isn't it? Stomach develops as this fusiform dilatation at around 4th to 5th week. Next, this fusiform sac has left and right surfaces, ventral and dorsal borders. Okay, there is something called as differential growth, right? What is this? I've already explained what differential growth is. Because of differential growth itself, the dorsal and the ventral pancreatic bud, they fuse and they form pancreas, is it not? Because of this differential growth, the dorsal border grows more, correct? That is why, that's what a differential growth means, correct? And it forms the fundus and the greater curvature of the stomach. All right, this is the greater curvature. This is the lesser curvature. If suppose this is the caudal end, this is the cranial end, okay, and we have two borders, right? This is the ventral and this is the dorsal border. Because the dorsal border grows more than the ventral border, which is called as the differential growth, that forms this greater curvature. And you can see maximum amount of tissue is present here. The rest forms the lesser curvature. That is, the ventral border forms the lesser curvature. Now let us look at the rotation of the stomach. Okay. Now, if we have to revise how the rotation of the midgut took place, just to revise, guys, what was there? We had something like this, and here we had the superior mesenteric artery, and this was pre-arterial and this is post-arterial. That is the cranial and this is the caudal end. And the first rotation that took place resulted in something like this, wherein the pre-arterial came to the right side and the post-arterial came to the left side. Then what happened? Pre-arterial started growing more, and that formed the ileum and the small intestine. Because the growth is so much, as the at around 10 weeks, as the physiological hernia started to reduce, all of this pre-arterial structures, they started to go inside the abdominal cavity via the umbilicus area. And then as it was going, the left side also underwent a anti-clockwise 90 degree. The first rotation is anti-clockwise 90 degree. The second rotation is also anti-clockwise next degree. Imagine, guys, as the intestines are going in, the left rotated. As let's suppose this left hand is my the pre-arterial structures which are going in like this, and the left hand is the post-arterial. It rotated like this so as to overlap. That is the reason why we have the transverse colon and everything overlapping the, that is the reason why we have transverse colon overlapping the colon, overlapping the intestine, small intestine. There's the second rotation. Because of the third rotation, the cecum came from the perihepatic area to the right iliac fossa. These were the three rotations that I had, which were in anti-clockwise direction. This is rotation of the midgut, correct? Now, if you have to talk about the rotation of the stomach, right? Now, the first rotation of the stomach takes place in a clockwise direction around 90 degree, both along the longitudinal as well as transverse axis. But here the rotation is along only one axis, that is SMA, around the superior mesenteric artery. Okay. Now, in the rotation along the longitudinal axis, the left surface becomes anterior and the right surface becomes posterior. Guys, I'll tell you something. All of this, whatever we are discussing, it may look and sound very difficult to you, but once you understand how it is happening, then it's like a cakewalk. You can answer any question you want. All right. Yes. So here what is happening, the left surface becomes more anterior, right becomes more posterior, because if stomach is like this, it is rotating around a longitudinal axis. Suppose if this is the stomach, when it turns like this in a clockwise, what happens? If this is anterior and my right hand is posterior, it turns like this in the clockwise direction. So anterior goes posterior, posterior becomes anterior. This explains why the anterior surface is supplied by the left vagus nerve and posterior is supplied by right vagus. You remember the stomach is actually supplied by vagus nerve. Vagus nerve does what all the different things? It maintains the peristalsis, it maintains the acid production. Remember, guys, vagus nerve supply of vagus to the stomach is very important. Why? Because it maintains the peristalsis, it also maintains the acid production. Okay. Yes, and it also helps in the opening and closing of the sphincters. The movement of the food in the stomach is determined by the right and left vagus nerve. That is why, guys, whenever there is a peptic ulcer disease, okay, whenever there is a peptic ulcer disease, especially for duodenal ulcers, what they do is vagotomy. Correct? They cut the vagus nerve when the ulcers become too much and there is a malignant potential, isn't it? So that is the reason why they do vagotomy. There is truncal vagotomy, highly selective vagotomy. Why vagus nerve is cut? Why vagus nerve is cut? Or why is it removed? Because it reduces the acid production. Okay, I hope you know this because it is an important concept, right? Next, one, because of along the longitudinal axis, we have the formation of the anterior and the posterior surface. Then when the rotation is along the antero-posterior axis, something like this, in this axis, lower pyloric end faces upwards and to the right, cardiac faces downwards and to the left. Okay. Next, what are the different mesenteries of stomach? See, what is mesentery, guys? Mesentery is these are the folds, peritoneal folds that actually hang the abdominal organs to the body wall. That is it. That is it. Right? In the liver, we saw there's one falciform ligament and so on. Many, if you remember, we have already finished all that. It should be like a revision for you. Now, there is something called as ventral mesogastrium attached to the ventral border, attaches to it to the septum transversum. What is septum transversum, guys? It is the septum transversum is undifferentiated mesoderm of lateral plate mesoderm. Okay. Next, what is dorsal mesogastrium? It is attached to the dorsal border and it attaches it to the dorsal body wall. Correct? Next, the important part is liver develops in the ventral mesogastrium and divides it into lesser omentum, falciform ligament. Correct? If suppose we have the ventral mesogastrium like this, okay, liver grows like this and it develops it into lesser omentum, which is between liver and the stomach. If suppose this is the stomach you have, now because it will divide the omentum into two things. One is the lesser omentum that is there between liver and stomach. Second is the falciform ligament that is between liver and anterior abdominal wall. So the liver is hung to the body wall by falciform ligament. Liver is attached to the stomach via the lesser omentum. Okay, keep hearing the word, right? Omentum, lesser omentum, greater omentum. What are all these, guys? These are all the ligaments that actually keep the abdominal organs in place and they are attached to the body wall by these. What is it? That is a mesentery. Okay, all these lesser omentum, greater omentum, falciform ligament, they're all the part of this. All right. Then we also have gastrosplenic ligament between the greater curvature of the stomach and the spleen. Gastro meaning stomach, splenic meaning spleen. Lenorenal ligament, or it's also called a splenorenal ligament between spleen and the posterior body wall. Okay, so basically the point is you have a rigid structure here, which is the stomach. Okay, this is not stomach. I'm so sorry. I'm very bad at drawing, guys. Please excuse me for this. Let me just draw it again. Say something like this. Okay, let's say this is the stomach. This is a very solid organ that is formed. And we have two ligaments that are attached to this. One, what is this? Let's say this is the liver. And let's say this is the spleen. Okay. From stomach between liver, we have falciform ligament. Sorry, lesser omentum. And between stomach and the spleen, you have gastrosplenic ligament. Understood? Yes. Next, formation of lesser sac, or it's also called as omental bursa. Okay. Bursa meaning what, guys? Bursa meaning there is some space. Okay. Whenever you hear the word bursa, it means there is some space. All right. Now, omental bursa is a space that is situated behind the stomach. Okay. It is formed when the dorsal mesogastrium is pulled to the left as a result of rotation of the stomach around the longitudinal axis. Okay, because let's say, guys, I'll tell you, we have the mesentery like this. Okay, this is the stomach, this is the mesentery, which is connecting stomach to the posterior body wall. When the stomach rotates around the longitudinal axis like this, what happens? The dorsal mesentery is also pulled to the left by the stomach. Because the dorsal mesentery is pulled to the left by the stomach, there is no space. I mean, there is a space created between these structures and the body wall, which is called as omental bursa. That's it. As simple as it gets. From the dorsal mesogastrium, you have lienorenal ligament and gastrosplenic ligament. Is it or is it not? Correct. Dorsal mesogastrium is between the posterior body wall and all of these organs. From the ventral mesogastrium, you have the falciform ligament and the lesser omentum. Right? Falciform ligament, it pulls the, or it connects the liver with the body wall, right? Whereas the lienorenal ligament, it attaches spleen to the body wall, whereas gastrosplenic and lesser omentum connect these two organs respectively to the stomach. It is the same diagram that I have written here in a different way. That's it. Same diagram, guys. This is, let's say this is the spleen. Okay. This is the stomach. And here is the liver, right? And this is the body wall. Between spleen and the body wall, you have lienorenal. Between liver and the body wall, you have falciform. Between liver and the stomach, lesser omentum. Spleen and the stomach, gastrosplenic. Okay, fine. Understood this much? When the rotation takes place, when the stomach has rotated like this, you can see how all the mesentery, whatever, this is all a part of mesentery only, all these ligaments, they're all pulled to one side. And there is a space that is getting created now. Okay, so that is the omental bursa. Now, what is greater omentum? How is the greater omentum formed? We learned about the lesser omentum. Let's talk about the greater omentum. Now, the dorsal mesogastrium from the rest of the greater curvature extends downwards, okay, to form a double-layered fold of peritoneum called as greater omentum. Greater omentum. Okay. Here is the gastrosplenic ligament, as you can see. Okay. Now the dorsal mesogastrium that is there from the rest of the greater curvature, because stomach is also held to the posterior body wall via the dorsal mesogastrium only, right? In the greater curvature, it extends downwards and it forms a double layered fold of peritoneum called as greater omentum, whereas lesser omentum, you can see here, this is the lesser omentum that connects the liver and the stomach, whereas on this side, on the opposite side, you have the greater omentum in the greater curvature. All right. Development of liver, we'd already finished in the previous class. Okay, liver has both origins, right? Liver comes from both mesoderm as well as endoderm, right? Mesoderm, excuse me guys, mesoderm as well as endoderm, right? Yeah. So endodermal liver bud forms the hepatocytes and intrahepatic biliary apparatus, and septum transversum forms the connective tissue of the liver, including all of this. We've already done this. So basically, the entire biliary apparatus, cystic duct and let's say gallbladder and cystic ducts and right and left hepatic ducts, all of these extra, whatever the biliary apparatus is there, and the hepatocytes, they come from endoderm. Whereas a septum transversum, which is a part of lateral plate mesoderm, right? That which is undifferentiated lateral plate mesoderms forms the connective tissue, capsule, Kupffer cells, and everything. This we've already done. Anomalies of gallbladder and everything. The only thing that was left out for us is the development of pancreas. Okay, we hadn't done the development of pancreas, which we will finish and will wind up the class. Pancreas develops from two endodermal buds. The dorsal bud is larger and it is located in dorsal mesentery. Okay, something like this, guys. You have a big dorsal bud, okay, and then you have a small ventral bud. Next, it arises from the dorsal aspect of the duodenum and gives rise to the upper part of the head, neck, body, and tail. If you have the foregut tube like this, we have different buds. There is respiratory bud, there is hepatic bud, and there is pancreatic bud also. Okay. Now, this pancreatic bud gives rise to pancreas. Ventral bud is smaller and located in the ventral mesentery, arises from the hepatic diverticulum, gives rise to lower part of the head and uncinate process. Okay, due to the rotation and differential growth of walls of the duodenum. See, this is very important, guys. Because of this differential growth, the ventral bud will have to move to the right and comes to lie below and behind the dorsal bud. Both buds fuse in 7th week of intrauterine life. This is also very, very important. See how all of the development is taking place in this 6 to 12 weeks, which is so important for organogenesis, and any insult to the fetus at this stage is going to have long lasting sequences. Okay. Now the acini and the islet of Langerhans, how are they actually formed? Okay. The proliferation of both ventral and dorsal pancreatic ducts, they form the smaller ductules. At the end of each branch, pancreatic acini appear, and some of the cells in the acini, they get separated and form islet of Langerhans in third month, and they start secreting insulin by 5th month. So insulin in the fetus is actually there. Insulin is present by 5th month. Okay, glucagon and somatostatin secreting cells also develop from the parenchymal cells, and they surround the splanchnic mesoderm, condenses to form the capsule connective tissue, septa, and blood vessels of the pancreas. Okay. Next, how the duct system is formed. Main pancreatic duct, that is MPD. Okay, MPD has 3 sources. The first source is the distal part of dorsal pancreatic bud. Oblique communication between, look at this is the duct of the dorsal bud, duct of the ventral bud, and this is the communication between them. All these 3 will result in the formation of the sorry, I'm sorry, let me just, I made a mistake here, let me just erase it. Okay, look at this, guys. This is how it is actually. You have the duct of the dorsal bud, duct of the ventral bud, right? Then what happens? Between the duct of the dorsal and the ventral bud, you have a communication that is developed. Whatever that is there till here forms the main pancreatic duct. That involves the distal part of the dorsal pancreatic bud. Is it or is it not? And this oblique communication between duct and the dorsal pancreas, and also the duct of the ventral pancreatic bud. Then what does this area form? This area that I'm shading now, this forms the accessory pancreatic duct. Accessory pancreatic duct, which is formed by the proximal part of the duct of the pancreatic bud. Very simple, guys. You have dorsal bud, ventral bud. Between them, there is a communication established. All these 3 structures will form the main pancreatic duct. And this area forms the accessory pancreatic duct. That's it. Simple, easy. What are the different anomalies of pancreas? We have annular pancreas, second part of duodenum, surrounded by a ring of pancreatic tissue. There's a divided pancreas due to the failure of fusion of the dorsal and ventral pancreatic buds. Okay, then there is inversion in the pancreatic duct. All of these things will not be asked to you guys, but just have an idea. All right, there are so many things happening in the pancreas, but you just have to know this concept is very important. How the duct system of the pancreas is formed. This duct system is very important, and it can be asked in your examinations. All right. Next, accessory pancreatic tissue is the ectopic pancreatic tissue, may lie in the wall of the duodenum, gallbladder, and Meckel's diverticulum or stomach. Okay. Spleen, we had already done spleen in the previous section. All right. Now, guys, let me tell you something. Whenever any ectopic tissue is present anywhere, it always has a chance of turning into malignant. So you will have to do some corrective procedure to bring it back to where it was originally. All right. Yes. So that ends up whatever we had left out. And today we are officially completing with embryology. All right. So what did we learn right from day 1 to day 10? What are the different things that we have learned? Let's just take a blank page and conclude everything. So initially we just had a very small zygote like this, which was 2-celled. This cell started dividing and dividing. It underwent so many divisions, okay, not growth. I'm saying divisions, and it formed a 16-celled structure which was called as morula. Morula is a chotu guy, that looks like a mulberry fruit. Then this morula entered into the uterine cavity and became a blastocyst. Blastocyst now has an inner cell mass and there is an outer cell mass like this. Okay, inner cell mass is the embryo proper, and outer cell mass contributes in the development of the trophoblast and establishing communication between mother and the fetus. Then the zona pellucida around the blastocyst disintegrated, implantation took place. This is one concept. This much you have to know regarding the implantation. After this, what happens inside the embryo is what is important. Okay, now the inner cell mass that we have, this is the outer cell mass and inner cell and outer cell mass. The ones that are facing the cavity, they divide themselves into this long columnar cells which are called as epiblast. And the cells that are there in the outer cell mass also undergo a division called as hypoblast, and which are called as Huesner's membrane. They are called as Huesner's membrane. Okay. And then what happened? In the outer cell mass, the cells underwent so many divisions, and they started forming primary, secondary, and tertiary villi, amnion, chorionic cavities, all of those things started developing. And here there is a part where there is undifferentiated mesoderm is present, right? Because how the mesodermal differentiation takes place? Because of the formation of this extra embryonic coelom, correct? Extra embryonic coelom is formed, but it is not formed over here, which forms the stalk, that is the umbilical cord. All right. And then what happened? We had the development of the primitive streak. Okay, we had the development of the primitive streak like this. Primitive streak got developed and it started to invaginate and remove the layers in the, what is this layer? Hypoblast, and turned it into, let's say these are the hypoblast cells. They removed the hypoblast and turned it into endoderm, and it removed the epiblast cells also, and they formed ectoderm. Between them we have mesoderm. The mesoderm that is formed over here is the intraembryonic mesoderm, and it started spreading everywhere except for two places which are what is this? This is buccopharyngeal membrane and cloacal membrane. All right. After this, we had the formation of the notochord, which is called as neurulation. The notochord that is formed in the mesoderm irritates the surface ectoderm that is present here and converts it into the neuroectoderm. Then the neural groove formed, neural tube formed, and finally we had the development of central nervous system. Isn't it? Then the mesoderm differentiated into paraaxial mesoderm, that is closer to the midline, intermediate mesoderm, and lateral plate mesoderm. Correct? Then from the paraaxial mesoderm, we had somites. From the intermediate mesoderm, we had different structures. What are those? Urogenital system. Very good. And from the lateral plate mesoderm, we had so many different things. What are those? From the lateral plate mesoderm, along with endoderm, it formed GIT lining. Okay, along with endoderm, along with yolk sac formed the endoderm, it formed the GIT lining. All right. Somites, they formed muscles of back, basically axial skeleton. Lateral plate mesoderm formed the appendicular skeleton. Okay, then we also learned about the pharyngeal arches. All right, from here we also learned about the pharyngeal arches and their derivatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 5 is not present in human body. Pharyngeal arches. In the ectoderm we have the cleft, in the endoderm we have the pouches, right? All of the clefts disappear except for one cleft, which forms the cervical sinus. right? And from the pouch, we had so many different derivatives, right? From the third and fourth pouch, which is the one congenital anomaly that I taught you, which is the one condition where the third and fourth pouch is not developed. It also goes by the mnemonic catch 22. There's a Dijot syndrome. Okay, we have already spoken about all this Dijot syndrome, where there is no thymus and there is no parathyroid. That is why these babies have T cell deficiency and they present with hypocalcemia. Okay, hypocalcemia. I hope you remember all of this. Catch 22. What is the full form of catch 22? You will tell me. Defect is in 22nd chromosome. 21 non-disjunction is Downs. Downs causes duodenal atresia, omphalocele. Remember anything coming into your head? This is how the correlation and integration needs to be done, guys. Okay. It's never isolated embryology. It is always correlating with other topics. How any defect in the embryological development results in different problems. Then we spoke about development of the heart from the heart tube, right? Heart tube was formed and the because of the formation of the cardiac loop, how we had formation of different structures, then how the interatrial septum was formed. It is mainly formed by septum primum, and how foramen ovale and everything gets closed after birth. This also we have learned. And finally we learned about the development of the GI system, where everything comes from the yolk sac. Yolk sac is endodermal in origin. Along with lateral plate mesoderm, it gives rise to many structures: foregut, midgut, hindgut. Foregut is supplied by celiac trunk, midgut is supplied by superior mesenteric artery, hindgut is supplied by inferior mesenteric artery. All of these, all three are a branches of aorta. Branches of aorta. This is how organogenesis takes place. From this two-celled zygote, now you have the development of heart, development of brain, development of gut. And also we spoke about the development of urogenital system in the end. Okay, this is how the development of different organ systems have taken place within 12 weeks of gestation. From here, these organs start working. From here, these organs start working. Kidneys, they produce the amniotic fluid, and the baby swallows the same amniotic fluid. Any issue, right? Let's say there is a posterior urethral valve, or there is some congenital anomaly of the kidney, there is renal agenesis, then there will be oligohydramnios, right? Similarly, malrotations, we studied about different malrotations. We studied about omphalocele, gastroschisis. What are these conditions, guys? They're all developmental anomalies. In the heart, we saw how the foramen ovale closes after the birth. If it does not close, it results in patent foramen ovale. Okay. In the brain development, we saw how the fusion of the neural folds, when it does not take place, you have anencephaly, spina bifida, meningomyelocele, so many different congenital anomalies. All right. Now, that's how amazing the creation is. How from a two-celled zygote, we have the formation of these different organs, and these organs take over and they form organ systems. And finally, all the organ systems start communicating with each other, and we have a healthy, lively baby that is born towards the end of 9th month. So this is the journey of embryology, guys. This is the journey from here we reach till development of organ systems. I hope you have enjoyed this journey. I hope you have learned something. And the goal was always to make this as interesting as possible. All right. And thank you so much, guys. I wish you guys all the very best. If you have any doubt, you can always contact us across the social media handles. And I'm going to wind up the class. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. Good night.